I need to say this before I start. If you've been waking up around 4 in the morning lately, consistently, for no reason at all, don't start checking the foot of your bed. I made that mistake already. And once you start looking for something every night, your brain does this awful thing where it begins expecting it to be there. That's how it starts, at least I think that's how it started for me. I was 27 when this happened, living alone in a tiny apartment outside Columbus, 3rd floor, old building, thin walls. The kind of place where you could hear someone coughing 2 units away if the pipes were quiet enough. I worked remote video editing for a sports channel back then, mostly night shifts. Highlights, podcasts, YouTube clips, easy work, mind-numbing work. The schedule ruined my sleep, not immediately, slowly. Like water leaking into the walls, at first it was harmless, staying up until 2, then 3. Then suddenly the sun was coming up before I even realized I hadn't slept yet. You stop feeling human after enough nights like that. Everything starts feeling slightly delayed. Your body gets heavy. Your thoughts lag behind your eyes. Sometimes I'd microwave food and just stare at the spinning plate without remembering what I heated up. The apartment became my entire world during those months. The buzzing mini fridge near my desk, the blue LED light on the router, the constant hum of my cheap standing fan clicking every few rotations because one of the blades was cracked. Mick. I still can't sleep with fans running now. Around that time, I started falling asleep to YouTube ambience videos. Rain sounds, airplane cabin noise, distant thunder, stuff like that. Anything to stop the silence. Because the silence in that apartment felt wrong after midnight, not dangerous, just too big, like the rooms became larger at night. You know that feeling when your bedroom doesn't feel shaped the same in the dark? That. I remember one night specifically because my microwave clock said 4:03 a.m. exactly when I looked over. I know that sounds weirdly specific, but that number got burned into my brain later. I had just finished editing some interview clip. Some retired baseball player talking about concussions. I wasn't even listening anymore. I was exhausted. My eyes felt hot. My skin had that gross dry feeling you get when you've been awake too long. I shut my laptop. The room immediately became darker, quieter. The only light left came from the hallway, outside my apartment door, and the router blinking beside the TV. I climbed into bed, still wearing sweatpants and headphones around my neck. And I remember this clearly because it mattered afterward. I fell asleep facing the wall. Not the room, the wall. Something woke me up maybe an hour later. I don't know what. No loud sound, no nightmare, nothing obvious. Just that awful feeling, like your body realizes something before your brain does. My eyes opened slowly. The room was still dark, but not fully dark. The street light outside leaked through the blinds in thin orange lines across the floor. I couldn't move at first, not completely. I was still halfway inside sleep. And I became aware of something standing near the foot of the bed. At least, I thought it was standing. My vision was blurry. You know how shadows look alive when you wake up suddenly. Your brain starts connecting shapes that aren't there. That's what I told myself later, because what I saw didn't make sense. It looked too low to the ground. Not tall like a person, folded wrong somehow, like something crouching. I remember staring at it without breathing. The shape wasn't moving. Neither was I. The apartment felt impossibly quiet all of a sudden. Even the fan had stopped clicking. Then the thing slowly tilted its head, just slightly. I swear to God, very slowly, like it was curious whether I was awake. My entire body locked up after that. A wave of cold rolled through my chest so hard it physically hurt. And the worst part wasn't the shape itself. It was the feeling that this thing had already been there for a while, watching. I finally jerked hard enough to grab my phone from the mattress beside me. The screen lit the room blue for half a second, Nothing was there. Just my desk chair. That was it. My desk chair with a hoodie hanging over the back. I remember sitting there afterward with my heart hammering so hard. My vision pulsed with it. I even laughed. Actually laughed. Because of course that's what it was. A hoodie, a shadow, sleep paralysis, whatever. I told myself all the usual things people tell themselves when reality almost slips for a second. Then I noticed something. The chair was on the opposite side of the room, not at the foot of the bed. I know where I leave that chair. I know where it was facing before I went to sleep. And I know, absolutely know, that when I opened my eyes, something was closer than that. Much closer. I barely slept after that. I kept checking the room every few minutes. Closet, desk, bathroom doorway. Nothing. Eventually, the sky outside started turning gray. Birds started chirping somewhere beyond the parking lot. Morning made the whole thing feel stupid. That's the dangerous part about fear at 4 in the morning. Daylight humiliates it. By noon, I was already convincing myself I imagined everything. I even posted about it jokingly in a Discord call that night. One of my friends said it sounded like sleep paralysis. Another one sent me some meme about the creature in the corner of your room at 3 a.m. We laughed. I laughed too. But later that night, when I crawled back into bed, AB noticed something I hadn't seen before. There were faint scratch marks on the wooden floor near the foot of the bed. 3 thin lines, long, uneven, like something hard, had dragged slowly across the wood. And I remember sitting there in complete silence staring at them while the router blinked blue behind me. Once every few seconds, blink darkness, and somewhere deep in my exhausted brain, a thought appeared that I still hate remembering now. What if that thing hadn't disappeared when I grabbed my phone? What if it had simply moved somewhere I couldn't see? Because after that first night, AB started waking up at 4:03 every single morning. The second week was when I stopped joking about it, because that thing, whatever it was, started becoming consistent. And consistency is what destroys rational thinking. If something strange happens once, your brain protects you. It explains it away twice, still manageable. But every night, at the exact same time, your mind starts bending around it. 4:03 a.m. every single morning. Not 4:1, not around 4. Exactly 4:03. At first, I thought my body clock was just messed up from stress. That happens when your sleep schedule gets wrecked long enough. Your brain latches onto patterns. That explanation lasted maybe 4 days. Then the sounds started. Very small sounds, the kind you almost miss because your brain files them under apartment noises. A soft creak near the bedroom door, a faint tap under the bed, fabric brushing lightly against the floor. I kept telling myself the building was old. Pipes expand at night, wood settles, neighbors move around. Normal things, except these noises only happened after I woke up, never before. Almost like something noticed I was conscious again. I started sleeping with the TV on after that. Not because I was scared. That's what I told myself anyway. I just needed noise. Something human. The apartment felt different now after midnight. Heavier somehow. Like the darkness had depth to it. I know that sounds stupid. But once you start losing sleep, darkness stops feeling empty. It starts feeling occupied. One night I woke up choking on dry air. My throat burned. The TV had already shut itself off because of inactivity, leaving the room buried in that ugly blue-gray darkness right before dawn. 4:03 a.m. Of course. I rolled over slowly toward the room this time, and there it was again, at the foot of the bed, lower than before. Crouched, the streetlight outside barely touched it, but I could make out pieces now, long arms. Too long, bent inward at strange angles. Its skin looked pale in some places, gray in others, like wet paper left in darkness too long. I remember hearing my own heartbeat in my ears. Not metaphorically, literally hearing it. Thump, thump, thump. The thing didn't move. Neither did I. And then something happened that still makes me sick thinking about it. Its head twitched, fast. Not naturally, not like a person noticing movement. More like a spider reacting to vibration. A sharp little motion. Then stillness again. My hand slowly reached for my phone beside the pillow. The movement felt impossibly loud under the blanket. The creature tilted its head lower. Watching my hand, I froze instantly. Every instinct in my body screamed not to move again. It's hard explaining that feeling unless you've experienced real fear before. Not panic, not surprise. Predator fear. The kind buried deep inside your nervous system, like some ancient part of your brain suddenly realizes you are being observed by something that does not think like you. I don't know how long we stayed like that. 10 seconds maybe longer. Then headlights from a passing car slid through the blinds. The room flashed white for half a second, and the thing was suddenly closer, not by much, but enough that I could now see one of its hands resting on the edge of my mattress, gray. Then, too many joints. My entire body went numb. I grabbed the phone and turned the flashlight on instantly. The room exploded in harsh white light. Nothing there. Nothing. Just the foot of the bed. My laundry basket. The closet door slightly open. I sat there gasping so hard my chest hurt. My flashlight trembled across every corner of the room. Appa. I even checked under the bed. That's the insane part. I actually checked under the bed like a terrified child. There was nothing except dust and an old sock. But the feeling didn't leave. That feeling stayed, like static under my skin. The next morning I called off work, first time in months. I told my manager I had a migraine. Truth was, I didn't trust myself to edit footage anymore. I kept zoning out, seeing movement in reflections. Little things, the microwave door, my black laptop screen, the TV after turning it off. I started avoiding mirrors without realizing it. Not because I thought I'd see the creature, because I was scared of seeing something standing behind me. That afternoon I bought melatonin gummies and blackout tape for the blinds. I remember standing in line at CVS looking absolutely wrecked. Hoodie, bloodshot eyes, hands shaking from too much caffeine and no sleep. The cashier asked if I was okay. I almost told her everything. That's another weird thing fear does. It makes you desperate for someone else to confirm reality. But what was I supposed to say? Hey, there's a gray thing watching me sleep every morning. So I just smiled, said I was tired, went home. That night I decided I'd prove to myself nothing was happening. I set my phone on the dresser facing the bed and recorded video before sleeping. Sybil, easy evidence. I actually felt better afterward, logical. Grounded. If nothing appeared on camera, then my brain was just collapsing from exhaustion. Honestly, I wanted that explanation. I wanted it badly. I fell asleep around 1:30. The last thing I remember hearing was the hum of the mini fridge in the kitchen and rain tapping softly against the window. Then, my eyes opened, dark room, dry mouth, pressure in my chest. And before I even looked at the clock, AB already knew. 4:03 a.m. I could feel it. That awful awareness settled over me immediately, like waking up in the middle of a conversation already happening. The room looked wrong. Not visually wrong, emotionally wrong. Do you understand? Like walking into your house and somehow knowing someone else has been inside. That feeling. I turned my head slowly toward the foot of the bed. Nothing there. For the first time in days, I almost cried from relief. Seriously. My whole body loosened at once. I laughed quietly into the pillow. See? Sleep deprivation. That's all this was. I reached over to grab my phone from the dresser so I could stop the recording. That's when I noticed the screen was already black. Recording had stopped, battery dead, except AB had plugged the phone in before sleeping. I sat up slowly. The charger cable was lying unplugged on the floor beside the bed. And I know for a fact AB didn't unplug it. Then I heard it, a soft scraping sound. Right beneath me, not outside, not in the walls. Under the bed, slow dragging. Like something hard moving carefully across wood. Every muscle in my body locked instantly. The sound stopped to complete silence. No traffic outside, no pipes, no rain, nothing. And then, very gently, mattress beneath my legs shifted downward. Just slightly, like something underneath the bed had placed a hand against the wooden slats and pushed upward. I remember staring into the darkness ahead of me, trying not to breathe, while something underneath my bed, very slowly, began moving. I didn't move, not immediately, because the second that pressure lifted against the underside of the mattress, something in my brain changed. Up until that moment, I still had explanations, sleep paralysis, hallucinations, micro-sleep episodes, whatever. But hallucinations don't press against the bed. Hallucinations don't unplug phone chargers. And hallucinations definitely don't stop moving the exact second you notice them. That thing under my bed knew I was awake. The silence stretched for so long my ears started ringing. I stayed frozen there in the dark, with my legs pulled tight against my chest, staring at the bedroom doorway while every nerve in my body screamed at me not to look down. That's what I remember most clearly, not fear. Resistance, every instinct telling me, do not lean over the edge of the mattress, because some part of me already knew something was there waiting for me to do exactly that. Then my phone buzzed suddenly. I almost blacked out from panic. The screen lit up weakly beside the pillow. 0.3%. No charger connected. Discord notification. Just one message from my friend Eric. "Ooh, alive, bro." That stupid message probably saved me. The light broke whatever paralysis I'd fallen into. I grabbed the phone so fast I nearly dropped it and turned the flashlight on again. Nothing under the bed. At least, nothing visible, but the scraping had stopped. The room felt empty again. I climbed off the mattress carefully, every muscle trembling, and checked underneath. Dust-storted boxes, a hoodie. Nothing else. I remember laughing again, not because anything was funny. People laugh when their brains overload. I think I was trying to force reality back into place. I didn't sleep after that. I sat in the kitchen until sunrise, with every light in the apartment turned on. The coffee maker hissed beside me, while YouTube autoplayed random videos. I wasn't even watching. At one point, I caught myself staring down the dark hallway leading back to my bedroom for almost 10 straight minutes, waiting. For what? I don't know, maybe movement, maybe proof. Maybe I wanted to see it again, just so I could stop feeling insane. That's the worst stage of fear. Not when you know something is real, when you desperately need it to be. Around noon, I checked the recording from my phone. The file was corrupted, 7 minutes long. Mostly static, no image, just black frames. But audio still worked. I almost deleted it immediately. It sounded wrong from the first second, no apartment ambience, no rain outside, just this low electrical buzzing noise. And breathing not mine. Too wet, too uneven. I remember sitting there at my desk, replaying the audio over and over, while sunlight filled the apartment around me. The sound would start quiet, then slowly get closer to the microphone, closer, and somewhere around the 5-minute mark, another sound appeared underneath the breathing, a scraping noise. Coo, pause. Coo, like nails dragging softly across wood. I stopped listening after that, because near the end of the recording, AB heard my own voice, whispering in my sleep. Just one sentence, soft enough I almost missed it. "Don't get closer." I don't remember saying that. That night I asked Eric to stay on Discord call with me while I slept. I didn't tell him the full story. Just said I'd been having weird sleep paralysis episodes. He thought it was hilarious, kept making jokes about the bedroom goblin. I laughed along with him because pretending things are funny feels safer than admitting fear out loud. Around 2 a.m., he started playing some game while I lay in bed, listening to keyboard clicks through my headphones. The sound helped. It reminded me another human being existed somewhere outside that apartment. Eventually, I drifted off. I woke up gasping, pitch black room, headphones gone, cold air against my face, and immediately, that feeling, presence closer than before. I reached for my phone blindly. 4:03 a.m. Of course, I whispered Eric's name into the darkness. No response. Only static crackling softly through the disconnected headset lying beside me. Then I heard something from the far corner of the room. A tiny clicking sound, like fingernails tapping lightly against drywall. Tap, 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 slow pattern. I turned my head carefully toward the sound. At first I thought the corner was empty. Then my eyes adjusted, and I realized the darkness there wasn't shaped correctly. Something was crouched between the dresser and the wall, watching me. I could finally see more of it now. God, I wish I couldn't. Its limbs looked too long for its body, folded inward like broken branches forced together. Pale gray skin stretched tight over sharp joints. Its head hung low, almost resting against its chest, and its eyes. I never saw them clearly, but I felt them lock it onto me. Unblinking, the thing slowly tilted its head sideways, exactly like before, studying me, like it was trying to understand something. I couldn't breathe properly anymore. Every inhale shook. The room smelled strange suddenly too. Damp, rotting fabric mixed with something metallic underneath. The creature twitched once, fast. That same awful insect-like motion. Then it began moving, not toward me, around the room, slowly crawling along the wall without making sound. Its movements didn't look human. That's the part that broke me. No hesitation, no balance shifts, no natural rhythm. It moved like gravity affected it differently. One hand touched the wall, then another, its body folding unnaturally as it crawled closer through darkness. I grabbed the phone flashlight with shaking hands and turned it on. The beam swept across the room. Nothing there. Again, nothing. But this time, smell stayed. And from somewhere very close beside the bed, Abby heard breathing. Not mine, right next to me. Eric's voice suddenly exploded through my headset lying on the mattress. Dude. I nearly screamed. Static crackled violently. Then Eric spoke again, confused now. Who the hell is standing behind you? Everything inside me stopped completely. I didn't turn around. Couldn't. My body went cold so fast it hurt. I grabbed the headset with numb fingers and whispered, "What?" Eric's keyboard clicking stopped entirely. Silence, then very quietly, very seriously, he said, "There's someone in your room." I still don't know why I turned around. Instinct maybe, or denial. Your brain keeps trying to force reality into familiar shapes even when terror is already sitting in the room with you. I remember moving slowly, every muscle shaking, the phone flashlight trembling so badly the beam bounced across the walls. Empty doorway, desk, chair, closet. Nothing behind me, absolutely nothing. And yet Eric inhaled sharply through the headset, like he was still seeing something. "Dude," he whispered. His voice sounded far away suddenly, distorted. "I swear to God there was somebody right behind your bed." I couldn't answer, because the breathing was still there. Close. Too close. Not coming from the room anymore. Coming from underneath the bed again. Slow inhale. Wet exhale directly beneath me. I stumbled backwards so hard I nearly fell. The flashlight beam crashed against the floor, and for half a second, I saw fingers curl back underneath the bed frame. Gray, thin, human-shaped but wrong in ways my brain still can't process correctly. Too many joints, too long, like hands stretched beyond anatomy. The movement was unbelievably fast. Not running, not crawling, retracting, like a spider vanishing under furniture when a light switches on. I heard myself make this awful choking sound. not a scream. Worse, the kind of sound people make when their nervous system stops functioning correctly. Eric kept talking through the headset. "What's happening? What the hell was that? Bro." I grabbed my keys and ran. I didn't think, didn't grab my wallet, didn't put shoes on. I just ran straight out of the apartment barefoot at 4 in the morning, while holding my phone flashlight like it could somehow protect me. The hallway outside looked endless. Dim yellow emergency lights, stained carpet, that old apartment smell of dust and dryer sheets. I remember hearing my own breathing echo off the walls while I smashed the elevator button over and over. The doors took forever. Every second felt wrong, because behind me, my apartment door was still open, dark inside, silent. And something deep inside me became absolutely certain. That thing was standing just beyond the doorway watching me leave. The elevator finally opened. I practically fell inside. The second the doors shut, I collapsed against the wall, gasping for air. Eric was still yelling through the headset. "What did you see? Are you okay? Talk to me." I couldn't explain it. How do you explain fear that primal? It wasn't just seeing the creature. It was the feeling around it. Like reality itself became thinner near that thing. Like your instincts stopped recognizing the world correctly. The parking lot outside was empty, except for rainwater reflecting orange streetlights across cracked asphalt. I sat inside my car until sunrise, shaking uncontrollably. Every few minutes, I checked the apartment windows above me, waiting to see movement behind the blinds. Around 6 a.m., one light flicked on briefly inside my bedroom, then turned off again. I never went back upstairs that day. Eric came over that afternoon. Thank God he did, because by then I genuinely thought I was losing my mind. He tried acting casual about everything at first, making jokes, calling it sleep deprivation demon stuff. But I could tell he was unsettled too, especially after I told him what he'd said during the call. He didn't remember it exactly the same way. That part still bothers me. Eric swore he never clearly saw a person behind me. He said it looked more like, and these were his exact words, a shape unfolding upward. That phrase made me physically sick, because that's exactly how it moved, not standing, unfolding, like something imitating the idea of a human body, without understanding how one actually works. We searched the apartment together afterward. Every room, closets, bathroom, kitchen, nothing. No sign anyone had entered. No broken locks, no footprints, nothing except those scratch marks near the foot of the bed. Except now there were more, not 3-7. Long, shallow grooves across the wood floor leading underneath the mattress. Eric stopped joking after seeing those. That night, he convinced me not to sleep there alone. We moved the mattress into the living room near the TV and kept every light on, Discord call running, Netflix playing quietly, two grown men pretending they weren't terrified. Around midnight, exhaustion finally started crushing me again. The human body can only stay afraid so long before it forces shutdown. I remember lying there staring at the ceiling while rain hit the windows softly outside. Eric sat in the recliner, scrolling TikTok with the volume low. Eventually, he looked over at me. "You ever think maybe you're feeding this?" he asked quietly. "What do you mean? Like, maybe the more attention you give it." He didn't finish the sentence. Neither of us wanted to say it out loud anymore. I closed my eyes after that, still hearing the TV, still hearing rain, still feeling terrified, and somehow that made it worse, because fear started becoming familiar, routine, like my body expected 4-3 now. When I woke up again, apartment was silent. No TV, no rain, no TikTok sounds. Nothing. The room was dark, except for the router blinking blue near the hallway. Blink darkness, blink darkness. And immediately I knew something was wrong. Eric wasn't in the recliner anymore. I sat up too fast. Pain exploded behind my eyes. "Eric?" No answer. The microwave clock glowed from the kitchen. 4:03 a.m. Of course, I grabbed my phone flashlight instantly. The living room looked empty. Blankets tossed aside, recliner moving slightly, like someone had just stood up. "Eric?" Then I heard it. From down the hallway leading toward my bedroom, a soft scraping sound. Pause. Slow, deliberate. And underneath it, another sound, Eric's voice, weak, shaking. "Don't." Silence, then again, from deep inside my apartment. "Don't let it see you awake." Something moved at the far end of the hallway. Fast. The flashlight barely caught it. A pale shape crossing the darkness on all fours. Gone instantly. But not before I saw how unnaturally long its arms were. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I would faint. "Eric." No response, only darkness. Then a loud crack from inside my bedroom, like wood snapping sharply in half. I backed away instinctively. The hallway suddenly felt impossibly narrow, like the darkness itself was pressing inward. And then, very slowly, something peeked around the corner at the end of the hall, not fully, just part of its head. Gray skin, sunken shape. One enormous eye reflecting the flashlight dimly. Watching me. Completely still, the thing remained there for several seconds. Then its mouth slowly opened, far too wide. And in a voice that sounded almost human, almost. I whispered. "You looked at me first. I don't remember leaving the apartment." Not clearly. Trauma destroys sequence. People think fear sharpens memory, but real fear does the opposite. It breaks moments apart into disconnected pieces your brain can barely hold on to. What I remember is noise. My own footsteps slamming against the floor. Eric screaming somewhere behind me. The flashlight beam shaking violently across the hallway walls. And that thing, moving, not chasing us normally. Crawling, fast enough that my brain couldn't fully track it. 1 second it was near the bedroom doorway. The next it was halfway across the ceiling. The ceiling. That image still wakes me up sometimes. Its limbs bent backward as it moved above us with impossible speed. Body flattening unnaturally against the plaster like gravity had stopped applying to it correctly. Eric saw it too. I know he did because I heard the exact moment his voice broke. A grown man, 28 years old, reduced to terrified silence. We made it outside somehow. Rain hit my face the second we burst through the apartment entrance. Cold, hard, real. I remember collapsing beside Eric's car while both of us struggled to breathe. Neither of us spoke for almost a full minute. We just stared upward at the third-floor window of my apartment. Dark, still, nothing there. Then Eric finally whispered, "What the hell was that thing?" And I realized something horrible. I didn't have an answer anymore, because deep down, AB no longer believed it was hallucination. Hallucinations don't speak. Hallucinations don't leave marks, and they definitely don't get witnessed by other people. I stayed at Eric's place after that, at least for a while. Days blurred together afterward. I stopped working, couldn't focus long enough to edit anything without zoning out. Every sound pulled me apart. The creak of pipes, a hoodie hanging behind a door, movement in peripheral vision. Sleep became impossible, because every time exhaustion finally dragged me under, AB'd wake up violently a few hours later, already expecting to see it. And eventually AB did. Not fully. Never fully. But enough. A shape outside doorways. Something crouched too low in dark rooms. Long fingers disappearing behind furniture when lights turned on. Tiny things. Quick things. But always there, waiting at the edges. Eric stopped talking about that night after the first week. I think he wanted to convince himself it never happened. Honestly. I tried doing the same. I threw away the mattress, moved apartments, deleted the corrupted audio file. Anything connected to that room had to go. For a while, things actually improved. No scratching sounds. No waking at 4:03. No gray shape at the foot of the bed. I almost believed it was over, almost. Then one night, around 3 months later, I woke up in my new apartment because of a sound coming from the hallway outside my bedroom. Tap, 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 soft pattern. I remember lying completely still under the blanket while cold spread slowly through my chest. The digital clock beside my bed glowed faint red in the dark. 4:03 a.m. Of course, I didn't move. Didn't look toward the doorway, because by then I understood something I wish I'd realized sooner. The worst mistake wasn't seeing it. It wasn't recording it. It wasn't even waking up at the same time every night. The mistake was acknowledging it, paying attention. Because some things, whatever they are, seem to grow stronger once they know you can perceive them. And I think that thing realized I could see it the very first night. That's why it kept coming closer. Little by little every morning, studying me, learning me. I still sleep with lights on now. Not bright lights, just enough to keep shadows from fully forming. I can't sleep facing open rooms anymore either. The bed always has to face the wall. And I never let my feet hang over the edge. Never. People laugh when I say that part. I don't care. Because sometimes, usually when I've gone too many nights without sleep, I wake up and feel pressure near the bottom of the mattress. Very light, barely there. Like someone resting their hands against the frame waiting. And every single time that happens, I keep my eyes shut. I don't check the room. I don't reach for my phone. I don't look toward the foot of the bed because I still remember what it whispered to me in that hallway. You looked at me first. And honestly, I've started wondering if maybe that thing was telling the truth. Maybe it wasn't hunting me at all. Maybe it had always been there, quietly sitting in dark bedrooms, watching people while they slept. And maybe most people simply never wake up at the wrong time long enough to notice it. So if you ever open your eyes around 4 a.m, and something in your room feels slightly off, don't stare too long into the darkness near your bed, especially if the room feels unusually quiet. Especially if you think you can hear breathing that doesn't belong to you. And if you see something crouched there, perfectly still, watching you from the foot of the bed, do yourself a favor. Pretend you didn't stay safe out there. Sweet dreams, if you can.